Good evening, everyone. This is going to be such a great class. I am so excited that you're here. My name is Bethany Shipley. If I don't know you yet personally, it's nice to meet you. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about pregnancy and delivery and whether you are in that phase of life right now or not. I hope that this information is easy and something that you can easily take notes on. So we're going to dive right in. Let's do a little check-in in the chat. Are you currently expecting? Are you here for someone else? Like, I want to know all the things. Let's do this. If you are expecting, tell us how far along you are, and let's say the best and worst part about pregnancy so far. The worst part for me has been absolutely the sickness. And the best part has just been the fact that this was a total surprise and totally not planned. And now I just cannot wait. I cannot wait to have this baby. I'm due in about 10 weeks with number 4, which is just kind of honestly insane to say. I look at my mom who had 5. I'm like, how in the world did she have 5? And then my mother-in-law who had 6. What is going on? Okay, so let's dive right in. Oh, good. I love seeing all these comments. This is so great. All right, so let's talk first about what are essential oils. This class is pregnancy and delivery in regards to essential oils. So I think it's important that we start out like explaining what that is in case you've never heard of them before. Essential oils basically are the volatile liquid within any aromatic, it's the aromatic presence within any plant, like shrub, tree, anything like that. So when you cut a plant and you smell, I don't know if you do any gardening, but I have a basil plant outside. When I tear off my basil leaf to put it in my food, I can smell that basil oil, and that's the aromatic presence of the plant. And so what we've learned is when we basically distill and get out that essential oil from the plant in a really, really unique process, we have this really high-powered medicinal liquid that can be used in so many different ways. And you know what? The first question I get when we talk about pregnancy and delivery and oils is, let's talk about safety. What's safe for me? What's safe for my baby? And here's where we're going to talk first. I'm going to talk about safety too, but first I want to talk about quality. So all essential oils are not created equal. And this isn't just a marketing ploy. This is actually a passion that this company, Young Living, has had since the beginning of their existence. Back when there literally was not a single book written in English on aromatherapy, there was this guy named Gary Young who was literally traveling the world and noticing that around different parts of the world, there were these essential oils sold as perfume, sold as massage technique liquids. Like, they were just kind of not considered medicinal at that time in the United States specifically. And so Gary Young, the founder of Young Living, who is the company that I specifically use, he realized there was more power to them when he started combining his big, like, I say big because I'm thinking of molecule size, herbs with essential oils, and he noticed that the supplements were actually absorbing in his patients way better. And so he started traveling around the globe to find all the sorts of like botanicals and oils, and basically started us all on this trajectory that would then become somewhat of this cute thing, right? To own a diffuser and some oils, and it's like Instagram worthy. And I mean, I personally see it everywhere on the shelves of TJ Maxx, Target, every store I go to, which is basically Target and TJ Maxx. And people are talking about them more and more, and it's just really, I think the biggest thing to remember when we're moving into talking about pregnancy and oils is when it comes to using them for medicinal purposes, you do not want to skimp on quality, because the process at which Young Living goes to extract the essential oils is above standards that any other country or industry has created. And that's not saying much. The fact that there are not regulatory industries highly regulating how essential oils are made means that a company that sells essential oils at TJ Maxx, this is really important. I know it's the boring stuff, but it is really important to understand. A company that sells oils at TJ Maxx does not actually have to prove that 100% of the oil in their bottle is actually oil. And even if they do prove that 10% is, they could have distilled it, gotten the oil out of the plant, with way too high of heat, making the oil medicinally actually ineffective. So when we're talking about this, I don't want you to waste your money. I don't want you to break out in some horrible rash because it's toxic. Just go with the best. At least that's what I've chosen to do. So Young Living has the best quality in the entire world. And you can visit their farms. I've visited several myself. I know several friends who have as well. Open door policy. You can go in, see the process. Actually, they just released this video that I really think you should go check out. I think we posted it in one of the groups, and it was about the distillation of Clary Sage, and it was just amazing to watch the distillation. So, all right, let's talk about safety. So for some people, it can be really hard to decide whether to use essential oils in pregnancy, and there are really so many opinions on the matter that it's important to discuss this at the beginning of any pregnancy and delivery class. The first thing that I want you to know is my personal experience has been that I cannot imagine being pregnant without using oils. So many crazy things that happen. I've never had heartburn before, but when I get heartburn, y'all, I feel like I'm gonna die. So having essential oils and having that aid of the natural botanical, I just use a drop of digyes on my tongue and it completely takes it away. I cannot imagine being pregnant without essential oils. And at first, when I was first getting into them and using them, I would read blogs and I would become really adamant about what oils I would or would not use. For example, and if you watch a class that I did 3 years ago, I might have been saying, I absolutely would not use Clary Sage until I'm ready to have the baby. This time, and I think part of that comes from just having a history of loss, but this time I've been way less concerned about the actual essential oils and what's good and what's not, because I realized this. When I started studying essential oils and the different types of aromatherapists, I noticed that some aromatherapists were obviously extremely conservative when it comes to oils, and then others like literally did not even seem to care. And here's why, because around the world, cultures use oils in different ways. So like the French aromatherapist will tell you to use oils one way, the German will tell you to use oils another way, the English will tell you to use them another way. And the reason for this is the origin of how their oils were produced. So if there are countries who are using perfume grade oils, obviously that were made in a lab to mimic lavender, but it's not actually lavender, it's just made in a lab. Of course, they're going to be like, hey, don't any pregnant women use it because we don't know how it's going to interact. Whereas when it's a real, like, imagine if someone was like they had a strawberry and they're like, we're going to make a strawberry in a lab. We're just going to like recreate it. And then they recreate it and they're like, oh, but pregnant women probably shouldn't use this. Well, of course, but should pregnant women eat strawberries? Yes, of course. So here's kind of all that to say, there's a lot of opinions out there, and I just want to I just want to like breathe a calmness about you using oils. Just know there are real life people who use tons of oils when they're pregnant and they don't worry. But as a general guideline, here is what I tell women who want hard and fast rules. Here are maybe 4 oils that you could avoid and that would just keep you kind of extra safe. These oils have certain constituents in them that some believe can maybe, push you more towards labor or not, or mimic estrogen or not. Not mimic estrogen, but regulate estrogen in your body. So one of those is sage or Clary Sage. The next one, number 2, is Idaho Tansy or hyssop. Number 3 is fennel. And number 4 is wintergreen. And then, of course, we'd say just learn how to read your label to know, oh, does this blend contain any of those if you're really concerned. Now, I'll be honest with you. I am pregnant right now, almost 30 weeks pregnant. I've been craving Clary Sage. I want it. I want it on me. I want to smell it. I love it right now. And I do, and I use it all the time, and I have not gone into labor. So just know that. It's okay. All right. Okay, I'll say it again, Cynthia. Sorry about that. So the oils, again, and I'll type in the comments as well after I'm done speaking. Sage, Idaho Tansy or hyssop, fennel, and the last one is wintergreen. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to dive right into first trimester survival. And then after that, I'm going to pass it to my friend Mariah. But here we go. Let's talk about first trimester survival. So first thing is, if you are really sick, it's okay. You're in a pack of women who understand you. This is really common, and I'm so sorry you've had to deal with it. The first thing you can do is detox your home and make sure your body and your liver and kidney isn't having to process through any additional toxins. What I would suggest starting with are things under your kitchen cabinet and under your bathroom sink and in your shower or bath. So those are the 3 areas of the home that I believe most toxins are stored. A 4th area would be your laundry room. What you'll want to do is be like really, really intense about looking at the ingredients in the products under your kitchen sink, under your bathroom sink. Sorry if you can hear my kids. It is what it is. In my shower and then laundry room, make sure that there's no fragrances, there's no parabens, there's no literally the list is so endless, but if you just go and like start Googling the ingredients list of everything in your products, you'll quickly find that you want to shift. And so how you can do that is you're going to message me on Facebook and say, I'm ready to switch over everything. And I'll send you a transfer buying form that will show you what you can buy easily. So like if you're like, oh yeah, I need an all-purpose cleaner, you check off the list. When you turn the page, it'll say, go buy Thieves Cleaner. So it tells you kind of what to buy. So message me on Facebook if you need that. It's called a transfer buying form. And if you're watching this on YouTube on a replay and you're not watching on our Zoom and you want to find that, you can find that at, what is it? Someone's going to be able to remind me in the comments, but it's a website called oilsandharmony. I believe it's .com. I feel like it might be .net. Either way. All right. The next thing you can do is breathe peppermint essential oil. We're just going to go there, y'all. We're going to get really TMI. When I was so sick, I would literally be throwing up so hard that my chest would bruise, okay? And like from the toilet, like I was like vomiting. Okay, so what I did, because what I noticed for myself was the smell of just being close to the toilet, all of it was like too much. So I would drop a drop of peppermint in the water and it would allow me to just be able to like not smell anything else. It's a really strong smell. So you can also do this when you're constipated. If you deal with constipation, put a drop of peppermint in your toilet water and it will actually relax your bowels so that you can go, okay? So TMI, but there you go. There's the peppermint for the win. When in doubt, peppermint is just a go-to in the first trimester. It can be really hot of an oil. So if you're branded oils, make sure you have a coconut oil on hand and olive oil on hand. Oh yeah, great tip for potty training, of course. So just being able to have peppermint around is just a great idea. Okay, next is lemon oil. If your water starts tasting funky to you when you're pregnant in your first trimester because everything is so intense, start putting lemon oil in your water, and you'll do it in a stainless steel cup or a glass cup. You will not want to do it in a plastic cup, but it will help kind of flavor the water in a way that will actually cleanse your body as well. So lemon oil, again, just a reminder, this is only Young Living. You do not want to be drinking any other essential oil if it's not labeled for internal consumption. So just be aware of that. The next thing is, and I have some other tips on just having mornings that you can get through. For me, and I wanted to kind of keep it essential oils, but this one has helped me so much, eliminating all saturated fats for the last half of the day at least, on the day before. So let's say I'm like trying to have a good morning on Friday and I'm trying to be able to be on and speak or talk, and I'm really feeling like I'm going to be sick. Eliminating all saturated fats on Thursday at noon all the way through. So that means basically I'm eating carrots, like I'm eating raw vegetables or just steamed vegetables, and it doesn't taste like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, but it really helped me a lot. Last but not least is magnesium. Magnesium was so huge, but I noticed for me, and again, all of this is so subjective, right? Because we're all going to have different experiences, but I'm just going to share what's working for me. When I would try to drink magnesium, it would just not settle. I would just throw it right back up, and it would just be so much even more intense. And I don't know why that is, but I found a hack that has saved my life, and I would do this every night. So this is Mega Cal. This is a supplement from Young Living. You're supposed to drink it in water. It's basically the alternative to like the Calm, like the the Calm Magnesium supplement that people drink to like go to sleep. So it's like the same thing, but it's from Young Living. And I would scoop like 2 or 3 scoops into the hottest bath water that I could handle and just put my feet in. So if I only had like, 30 minutes, I would do it actually in the kitchen. I would sit up on my kitchen counter, put my feet in the hot water in the kitchen sink and just as hot as I can handle and let my feet absorb the magnesium. And I noticed a huge difference from the times that I didn't do that the next morning. So I would do that on like a Thursday night, and then Friday morning I would have an easier morning. So all of that combined, I know it's a lot of work and it's annoying, but those are a few tips for first trimester from me personally. And really thankful for just the little tips. I wish I was someone who could hop on here and say, oh yeah, and then I did this one thing and I never got sick again. And that's really just not true. So I'm going to be honest with you, but I can tell a huge difference. And so if it can help somebody, I'm going to share that information. Those stories exist, by the way. They're great. And I love hearing them, but I've just never found like one thing that just knocked it all out. It's just been more of a puzzle piece type situation. So those are my tips for you for first trimester: detoxing your home, eliminating saturated fats for the last half of the day, peppermint oil in your toilet bowl if you're sick, or just even smelling it in your diffuser, lemon oil, drinking it, and then last is magnesium foot soaks. With that, I'm going to pass it on to my friend Mariah, who's going to talk all about placenta health.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Bethany. Those are such amazing tips, and I used so many of those in my first trimester. I know that. So my name's Mariah, and if you don't know me already, I am a mom of 2 little girls, ages 3 and 1, and I'm also pregnant with my 3rd, which is a boy, and I'm so excited. If I sound a little out of breath, it's because I am. So I have some notes right here just in case I get pregnancy brain and I go off course. So I got introduced to Young Living in the middle of my 2nd pregnancy, which was perfect timing because it was just when I needed it. And I'm going to share my testimony in just a minute. It's amazing. But first I wanted to talk about the placental barrier and kind of general placenta health, in that it's good. The placenta is good at filtering out kind of more natural contaminants, but when it comes to the synthetic, harsh, man-made chemicals, it's not the best at filtering them out. And that's why I think it's so important to go non-toxic, like Bethany said. And I'm so thankful for Young Living that they have such amazing and a huge range of non-toxic products to choose from. And so I'm going to share a couple of quotes from this article that I actually got from one of Bethany's other pregnancy classes. And it says, when researchers examined the umbilical cord blood of 10 US babies born in August and September of 2004, which first of all is a long time ago, so it's probably worse now, they found a total of 287 industrial chemicals. And of those, 180 were carcinogens and 217 were toxic to the baby's brain. Now, of course, just because a newborn has toxic chemicals in their cord blood doesn't mean they'll automatically develop cancer or learning impairment. Still, most of us would prefer to err on the side of caution, and that means pregnant women should avoid environmental toxins as much as they would cigarettes. Like, this is a big deal, guys. So I think that is like step 1, going non-toxic for sure, and along with like having a good diet and drinking enough water and everything. And now I want to talk about Young Living's supplements, which are amazing, and they're absolute favorite supplements. And special shout out to Ningxia Red, which is Young Living's like liquid antioxidant puree juice, whatever you want to call it, and it's infused with essential oils, and it's so delicious and so good for you, and I could talk for 100 years on it. But my testimony with that, so with my first pregnancy, I developed what's called Iugr. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's intrauterine growth restriction. So basically my placenta and my baby had a hard time growing at the end to where they were developed enough, but the complications kind of rise, and you can have stillborns and they don't know what causes it, and they say there's nothing you can do about it, and you have a higher chance of getting it with your other pregnancies. And so I was at first measuring 1 week behind, and then 2 weeks behind, and then 3 weeks behind. And then I ended up having to get induced early at 37 weeks with a 4-pound, 7-ounce baby. She was really tiny. Luckily, she was healthy. But I then started to develop the same thing in my second pregnancy. I was measuring a week behind and then 2 weeks behind. And right around that time, I was introduced to Young Living. And I remember seeing some pregnancy wellness videos in our Facebook groups, and people will talk about how amazing Ningxia Red was and how their providers would compliment them on their placentas and how like thick and vibrant and healthy they were. And I was like, I have a month until my next ultrasound, and they're going to tell me, you know, if I have this or not for sure. And so I'm going to invest in me and my baby's health, and I'm going to get some of that right now. And so I ordered my Ningxia Red, and I also was taking multigreens and Super B and some other supplements that were amazing. And I just started drinking 2 ounces a day. That's all you need. And by my next appointment, you guys, my baby was still slightly small, but she grew so much. And I was now only measuring 1 week behind. And then by my next appointment, I was perfectly on track, and I wasn't measuring behind at all, which I was just like crying. I was so grateful and so thankful. And I ended up going to 41 weeks with her, and she was 6 pounds, 11 ounces, perfectly healthy. She was very strong. She actually got voted the strongest suck out of all the babies in the unit. Lucky me. So that I just think is super amazing. And then I also wanted to note this pregnancy, I thought I could maybe get away with not drinking it at first to try and like save some money. And I was trying different supplements, and I was just trying a new routine out without the Ningxia Red. And I had a ultrasound recently, and they were measuring a little small. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna order my Ningxia because I know that that works. And I've already had like a huge growth spurt. I could tell like my belly just got a lot bigger really fast. So I'm sure by my next appointment, I'm gonna be like right on track. There's just something about Ningxia Red that my placenta needs, and I'm gonna just give it to it. So that is all that I had on my story. I hope that was super helpful for you guys. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to my friend Abby, who's gonna be talking about some DIYs.
Hello. My name is Abby, and I'm glad everybody else has notes because I was afraid I was the only one with mom brain that was going to struggle through this. So I am a mom to 3-year-old Indigo and 7-week-old twins, Crusoe and Rio. So all of this is real fresh for me right now. I wanted to share my top 3 DIYs with you guys. There will be printable things at the end. We're going to post them somewhere for you. So please don't feel like you have to write 9,000 miles an hour because we will take care of you. Before we get into that though, if you're ever looking for amazing recipes or what oils to use for what, these 2 books are like, if you're a mom, if you want to have kids, if you work with kids, any of that, these 2 books will be your lifesaver. Gentle Babies by Deborah Rayburn, and the Betsy Bosom's baby book, which is in that Lucy Libido kind of group. If you don't have that, you should also get that, but beware, you will be making a quick U-turn back to the baby books very quickly. Okay, recipes. First up, I think the first thing that you think of when you think of like taking care of yourself when you're pregnant is your stretching belly. So my first recipe is, it's kind of twofold. I'm gonna try and go really fast because it's hard to talk through these. So let me know if I'm too fast. Whipped body butter, or the lazy version is just belly oil. So the key with making sure that your belly is sustaining as little damage as possible throughout your pregnancy is to start early. You can't start this when you're like 36 weeks pregnant and expect miracles to happen. You need to be proactive and you need to be consistent about it. So what I use for the whipped body butter is just a combination of raw organic shea butter, some unrefined coconut oil. Those 2 are really rich in vitamins and promote the production of collagen. They also protect your skin's natural oils so that your body can like do its thing. That's the whole point of this, is that your body knows how to take care of itself. You just have to facilitate that. To that, you just add a little bit of carrier oil, you melt them all down in a double boiler, put them in the fridge for a little bit till they're not super solid, but not like super liquid either. Like you want it to just be, you can leave a fingerprint in it. You take them out, throw some arrowroot powder in it. That's kind of like a more natural version of cornstarch that doesn't have a lot of crap in it. And that's what makes your really like whipped peak kind of things. And then your oils. For this DIY, I would recommend Gentle Baby. It's fantastic for mom skin, baby skin, smells awesome. It does have some citrus in it though. So if you're going to put it on your belly, don't do it like before you're going to go out to the lake for 12 hours. Like you will get an intense sunburn. Put it on at night or just before you're going to be out in the sun for a while. Lavender and frankincense, those are the other OG skin oils. They're in a starter kit, so that's awesome. But there's tons of other amazing skin support oils that you can use. Just double check, like Bethany was saying at the beginning, that they're cool for pregnancy. Once you have all that together, you're going to whip the ish out of it until you think you can't whip it anymore. I'm talking like 10 minutes in a KitchenAid. And it'll get really, really white and really, really fluffy. And you're going to want to eat it. Don't lick it. It looks like you should be able to lick it. Then you just pop it in a little airtight container and use it whenever you want to, on your belly, on your legs, wherever you need some extra help. I don't remember if I said this because mom brain, but it's also really amazing on kids and babies. Just again, be cognizant of the oils that you're putting in it and how much oil you're putting into it. Because I mean, your body is going to process these oils very differently than a tiny body. So just be aware of that. If you're not into DIYs, which a lot of my friends are not, you can do it the super lazy way, which is what I did in my 3rd trimester because getting off the sofa was an Olympic event for me. For that version, I just took 30 to 40 drops of those same oils or any other skin supporting oils that you want to, put them in a little dropper bottle, and then topped it off with the Cellulite oil that Young Living carries. That stuff, first of all, it smells insane and is awesome. And it also is really good for skin that's seen some like nitty gritty action and needs some repair and some smoothing and all of that stuff. So boom, one DIY done. Next up, this one is for more like the end of your pregnancy. And Mariah touched on Ningxia Red a little bit, and that's kind of going to be one of the focuses of this one. Hydration. Like it feels like you can't talk about hydration enough with pregnancy. Like pregnant, okay, drink 1 million ounces of water. If you are delivering, they're going to want to hook you up to an IV because they want you to be hydrated so that you're not like crapping out on them. Breastfeeding, pull out the fire hose because you need to drink more water. Like without water, you will just fatigue and nothing will work the way it's supposed to. When I was looking up some different things before I gave this talk, I found this article that actually said that the University of Michigan did a study and found that birthing a baby is as hard as running a full marathon. All the moms were like, and like, we know this, we've done this. Thank you. That is not new information. But when you think about it, like hydration and mineral replenishment is so important for marathoners. So why don't we treat delivering moms the same way? Like ice chips and plain water, not going to cut it. You're getting no minerals, no electrolytes, none of that stuff. So then if you're just on water and ice chips, studies have also shown that those women then have a higher chance of ending up with a C-section because obviously they run out of steam. Like, do marathoners walk around with 14 ice chips and like suck on those and then win their race? Like, no, that's not how this works. They have their little crazy gel packs of nasty looking stuff that keeps them going, but that has all kinds of crap in it, so you don't want that either. This Labor Aid has minerals, vitamins, crazy hydration, antioxidants, immune support, super easy to make. It's basically like Gatorade, but not awful for you. It doesn't have all the dye and the sugar and the stuff you can't pronounce and everything that's the opposite of natural fuel for your body. So for this one, in a big liter bottle, I mixed, I'm out of breath, lemon or lime juice for immune support. It strengthens ligaments. It gives you vitamin C and potassium is what keeps your electrolytes and like body fluid in balance, and it can also lower your blood pressure. You can also add lemon or lime vitality essential oil for the same reasons. With that, coconut water, that is maximum hydration, easily digestible carbs, muscular endurance, and it has amino acids in it that actually that help your body respond to stress in like a non-psychotic way. Pink Himalayan salt is for sodium and electrolytes. Magnesium, like Bethany was talking about, that's for muscle contraction and relaxation and for energy production and to avoid cramps, because girl, you're cramping enough. Like, you don't need cramps elsewhere in your body right now. We don't need that. Honey, that's for, that's also a carb, and it's more for like time released fuel and immune support if you get like the raw local good stuff like that. And then finally Ningxia for the antioxidants, energy, recovery, inflammation, all that stuff. You take all that stuff, you put it in a bottle, and you shake it, and then you leave it in the fridge. You can pull it out for really any time throughout your pregnancy, but especially in the 3rd trimester, because you're feeling awful and need some recovery. While you're in labor, before you go to the hospital, after you deliver, because hello, Lord knows you need some help in that department. And then even for breastfeeding, because you need all that extra hydration and all of that stuff, because you're feeding more than one at that point. It tastes like fruity lemonade. It's bomb. You can drink it anytime. You can actually probably be really good for athletes too. Okay, final DIY. I saved the glamour for the very end. Padsicles. A really stupid name, but hallelujah for soothing the thunder that happened down under, my friends. No one told me for my first baby that we're gonna go all the way there. That it would feel like I was gonna poop out a bowling ball and then not be able to sit in a chair like a human being for like a month because #stitches. Like, that would have been helpful information to know ahead of time. When that's happening to you in the hospital and they're like, use these things here, use this Tux pads and this Dermaplast spray so you can't feel anything. And you're like, okay, if you say so, and you just use it and you don't think about it. This time around, since my first pregnancy was not oily, this time was, praise Jesus. What was I saying? Oh, I was looking up all the ingredients in these things, and you guys, that ish is dirty. If you look up the ingredients on the backs of these things, it's supposed to be just like witch hazel and numbing stuff, but there's way more stuff in that that's not awesome. Like, we're already working with an open portal to the wonderful world of my insides. Like, now we also have an open wound near Never Never Land. In what world would I want chemicals and things that are like known immunotoxins that even say on the bottle to be like kept away from your eyes and your mouth and your ears and your nose? Hello, this is also a bodily entry point. Like, why would that be any different? Hard pass. That's not coming into my body. Anyway, padsicles. These things are like heaven in your undies, and that's not, we're just gonna leave that there, but it really is true. These might be the easiest ones. So take a pack of of non-toxic chemical-free pads. Yes, even those have crap in them. It's ridiculous. I use the 7th generation ones without wings, because wings suck and they're just in the way and you don't want that everywhere. I'm not gonna fly away anywhere. In a spray bottle, you will take unscented witch hazel, alcohol-free, please, for the love, make sure it's alcohol-free. And then take lavender essential oil and tea tree essential oil. Those are both anti-inflammatory and have antimicrobial properties. You could also use myrrh, helichrysum, any other healing oils. You could also use some Clariderm spray, which I'm sure someone will talk about at some point. That is amazing to be mixed in with this too. But the lavender and tea tree, a lot of people have on hand most of the time. You're gonna unwrap each individual pad. Don't go all Tasmanian devil, just like gently open it, because you're gonna reuse the thing that it came in. Spray them down so that they're like heavily damp, but not like soaking wet, or else they'll become ice blocks. Then fold it back up, tuck it in its little envelope, and put all of those in a big Ziploc bag in the freezer. And then you can pull them out and have all kinds of relief whenever you want it. Just make sure that you change them at least every 4 hours, if not sooner. So, boom, 3 easy recipes. Like I said, we'll have printables with actual information on them so that you don't have to think about it. It's nice and easy. Thanks for hanging out with me. And next up is Alyssa with oils for labor.
Hey, how's everyone doing? That was so amazing. Oh my gosh, enjoyed every bit of that, Abby. Thank you. Okay, so I am mama to 3. My first is our bonus child that inherited through marriage. And then I have had 2 births. Both were at a birthing center, and we're all natural, meaning I didn't have an epidural. And okay, so my first baby was completely unsupported. As far as my first childbirth was completely unsupported with like oils or any of that. I didn't have any natural remedies. I just knew I wanted to try to do a natural childbirth. And so I went to the birthing center with a heating pad, I used the rocking chair and a ball, and that was pretty much it. I had purchased some oils from a natural market store near me, and I kind of read a little bit about them. And I was like, yeah, like this looks good. You know, I had 34 hours of intense labor. It was painful, and I pushed for 4.5 hours with my first. It was a long, intense experience, and I'm so grateful for it. And I learned a lot through it, and I got my baby daughter. And it was wonderful. But as far as, you know, the after part of it, but the actual not having a lot of support during was rough. And then also not having a lot of support during my pregnancy was really, really rough. And so with my fast forward a couple years, and I was pregnant with my second, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to give something a try. And that's when my friend introduced me to Young Living. And I was like, well, I tried oils before, but, you know, I'm willing to give this. I didn't do much research before with what I was using. So I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And so was noticing extreme benefits during my pregnancy, already having a way healthier, way more amazing pregnancy. And then prepping for labor, I took that Betsy Bosom book that you just heard and saw Abby post about. And I used a lot of her recipes during my labor. So I'll talk a little bit about that. One thing that I do want to talk about is I went from a 34-hour childbirth to a 34 hours of intense labor to only about 2 hours of intense labor with my second. I also decreased the time majorly of intense childbirth. And when I say the intense childbirth, it was really just the transition phase, which for everyone is really pretty intense. And I was still able to manage it, unlike the first birth. So I also only pushed for 4 pushes, and he was out in 7 minutes, you guys. It was amazing. So I'm glad that I have the different experiences, but I'm so thankful that I had oils with the second. Okay, so I'll share what I did during my labor with him. I did the labor aid. Huge difference, like Abby just talked about. Oh my gosh, how that supports your body is amazing. I did drop 2 drops of frankincense in it to help with inflammation. So I chose, you can kind of choose your oils like she was saying. I chose lemon and frankincense, and a lot of mamas they'll put some other ones in there, but those were the 2 that I put in there. I also made a labor roller. Highly recommend this. So, and I actually, we can share the graphics later too, but basically it's 8 drops of Aroma Life, 3 drops Clary Sage, 4 drops Fennel, 2 drops Peppermint, 2 drops Panaway. Don't stress about writing that down. I have graphics. But basically, I just want to explain the concept of this roller. It helps with the pain, but it also, I use it to help with continuation of contractions. So a lot of times I had stalled labor with my first. I did not have any stalled labor with my second because I was using the oils to help support with pain. And I had certain oils in there, trying to think of the best way to say this, but basically it helped with the pain management, and it helped keep me going in labor versus having stalled labor. And that was a big difference between my first and my second. So I highly recommend that roller. And then also I highly recommend having Panaway on hand, because I used that roller as soon as I was ready to go into labor. I instantly started diffusing Clary Sage and rubbing that roller on the on the inside of my ankles. And then I chose to rub it right above like my belly here. And then as I got to about transition, I switched over. I still had that roller out, but my husband really focused on Panaway, this amazing oil here. He put it along my back, where I had a lot of my back labor, and that got me through transition. And I chose an emotional oil supporting oil to inhale with every contraction, and it helped keep me focused and grounded the whole time. It was White Angelica. I will say Valor, Stress Away, Peace and Calming. You can pick any emotional oil. This time around, I think I'm going to try Surrender. I'm going to get that one a little earlier on and see how I do with it. But pick your emotional oil and use it. And every contraction, have the bottle open and smell it. So pan away your favorite emotional oil. We got tons that you get when you get started. So you can, the 3 that you're going to get started with that you're going to have like right off the bat are going to be Valor, Stress Away, and Peace and Calming. So you can even just pick one of those and use that. And then you're going to want to make sure you have Clary Sage. Even if you don't have all the other oils to make that roller, make sure you have Clary Sage to rub on the inside of your ankles. And then you're going to want Pan Away for helping with the pain. And then real quick, I just want to say what I do for like my supplements. I take more than this, but the main thing that I make sure that I have every day, because I'm bad about taking everything, is my master formula, which has like all of these amazing supplements in here. So I take this once a day. And then Ningxia Red, I do not skimp on my Ningxia Red. I do 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces in the evening. I gotta have it. I'm sorry guys, like I gotta have it. So that's what I do kind of throughout pregnancy. And then during childbirth, I hope that I got everything. Oh, one thing I was gonna say, I'm not much of a DIYer, so with padsicles, I don't know why, but that just seemed like super complicated to me for whatever reason. And I never really liked the like super chill feeling, which most people love. But for me, I wanted something that was still going to support me. So I took what I had on hand, which was actually Lavender. This time around, it will be Clariderm, because Clariderm has helichrysum in it, which is amazing for healing and recovery. So I took my pad and I had like, I don't know what you guys do, but I have a caddy on the back of my toilet with, pads and all of that. And I had Lavender in there and I would just spray it on my pad and then wear my pad. So, okay, that's all I got for you. Next up is the amazing Whitney, and she is going to come at you with all kinds of amazing tips.
Hello, I am Whitney Krieger. I actually just got my current youngest down. I think she's asleep. I don't know. I tagged Dad in because she was not going down. But I have 2 girls that actually one will be 2 on Friday and the other will be 4 next week. And praise God, I'm not having another August baby because it's hot in August to have a baby. But I am due in December with my 3rd, and this is only my 2nd oily pregnancy. So, I am actually doing a home birth for the first time. So don't let that alarm you that Alyssa and Bethany and I don't know who else shared because I was rocking a baby, are having home births. Like, starting oils doesn't mean you're going to do crazy things like that, but it might. So you never know. My job is to talk about tear repair after labor. So I have only been in labor for 9 hours. I'm so sorry, Alyssa. She, I think, had like a 34-hour labor with one of her babies. I was in 7 hours with Ember and 2 with Haven. And it was awesome. So I've done 2 unmedicated births. Honestly, most people labor longer than that before they get an epidural. So I think it might be cheating. But it was still hard work, and I had back labor and all the things. But I got an episiotomy with both girls. And so I had stitches. Even though I had a natural birth, I did have local anesthetic because of the episiotomy, and then I had to have stitches afterwards. And so with my first daughter, I actually ended up pushing for, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour, but I was like wanting to get that baby out. Like, I broke blood vessels trying to get that baby out. And I remember afterwards, is super funny. My niece saw me walk to the bathroom at one point. And I guess backing up, the first time they're like, okay, it's time to get up to go to the bathroom, and I like go to move my legs over, and I felt the pain, and I was like, no, thank you. And they were like, no, you have to go to the bathroom. And I just remember how uncomfortable that was and how much pain I was in. I was like, I'd rather stay here forever, thanks. But at that time, it was before I had oils. And so I just did what they told me to. I used what they gave me at the hospital, which in my opinion, has toxic stuff in it, and I'm spraying it into an open wound, and you know, all the things that now hindsight I'm like, neat, I wish I would have had a better option. But my niece saw me go to the bathroom, and she was like, I can't even remember how old she was, 4 years ago, would have been like 8, and she was like, what are you, a cripple? Because I was walking so slow, and it took me a long time to heal. And I mean, sorry, TMI, if you're here for pregnancy and labor, but like, I remember using a mirror and being like, what happened? Just because I was like, well, doesn't feel good from my downstairs. So I knew I wanted something better with Haven. And so I started preparing leading up to labor, because they will tell you, which isn't always true, because I know for a fact Bethany tore with her non-home births, and she did not when she birthed Big Mac that came out at 10 pounds. She didn't tear. So it is possible to have a natural labor with no tearing. But I was told that with scar tissue, it's more likely to tear, which is super fun. So anyways, he is a Mac daddy. So I started preparing ahead of time. So I made a spray ahead of time with geranium and frankincense and lavender. So I was like preparing myself, you know what I mean? And then I did have to have an episiotomy, but I honestly think it was just the doctor's choice. I don't know if I would have actually needed one or not. He chose to. I was only in labor for 2 hours, only pushed for 15 minutes. He still did that. But my recovery, guys, and it was all thank you to this little bottle right here, Clariderm. So it has helichrysum in it, which is known as liquid stitches around here, which is phenomenal. Jamie, I started using it 4 weeks beforehand. I started using the perineum prep with stretching 4 weeks ahead of time. And I think I might even do it longer now. And I'll probably just start with Clariderm. But this stuff is pricey because it's packed full of so much stuff. Myrrh, tea tree, lavender, frankincense, helichrysum, Roman chamomile. So this is so healing. And this is all I used after labor. I took my seedlings wipe to clean myself up. I used Clariderm. I didn't use anything that they gave me. And it was night and day. And I feel like even though I pushed for 45 minutes, like she only came out once, you know what I mean? So I don't think that the swelling difference was because of how long I pushed. It was literally my recovery time with how prepped I was. So I used Clariderm a lot. And it went so much better. I had the same amount of stitches, and I hardly had any swelling. Like I was pretty much back down to normal within a couple days. It healed much faster. It just was much more pleasant. So I highly, highly recommend Clariderm. This padsicle idea was a really good idea too from Alyssa, using those combined. But another thing that I did, and this isn't tear related, but because it sounds like I wasn't able to watch everything, but it sounds like everyone else was kind of talking up until this point. So one of the uncomfortable things after the baby comes is contractions when you're nursing, because your uterus is still trying to contract back down to size. And first baby, you don't expect that. Like these are things that they don't tell you. But in the hospital, like the nurse comes and like kneads on your tummy, which feels super awesome. But I learned from the book Gentle Babies that geranium and lavender combined would help your A, bleeding stop, and B, your uterus contract. And so I used this little dropper bottle, and I mixed up those oils, and I dropped it all over my abdomen and just rubbed it in. And yes, cypress for bleeding. That's such a good idea, Abby. Adding cypress to the dropper as well. And I had it pre-mixed with a label, foolproof. My husband knew how to help me. I have my diffuser blend labeled. I have my pain roller labeled. I have my labor roller labeled, everything. And this one said after birth. And so I dropped it on like every 30 to 45 minutes. And I remember it was so much easier after having these tools. And then geranium also boosts your emotion. This is joy. So not only are you getting the bleeding to stop. I tried to chop my thumb off last night. I had my mom hand me geranium and helichrysum because I knew that those two were going to work fast, and they did, which is awesome. But geranium, this is why I love oils. And then I'll wrap up here. I don't know what time it is. I love oils because they have multiple uses. And like, yes, Clariderm is going to help with that, but it also helps with sunburns, and also, you know, like there's multiple reasons you can use it, but geranium's boosting my hormones while it's helping my uterus, while it's helping stop the bleeding. Like, I just love that about oils, that they have so many uses, and then it's not going to sit on the shelf and not get used for anything. Then I can diffuse it, and then I can continue using it, and they don't expire. So I just love that there's so many uses, and you can continue using these tools for different reasons after the fact, not for the same purpose, which makes it way cost effective in the long run. So that is what I did this time with the home birth. I won't have local anesthetic, so I'm nervous, but I also will have a pool, and I plan to do more prep beforehand, both mentally and perineum work, and using those oils beforehand just to help, because there's oils that help break up scar tissue. So I'm going to look into all of those things and prepare my body even more. And speaking of prepare body, I am now going to pass it off to Paige, who is planning on incubating her baby possibly into the 5th trimester. I'm just kidding, Paige. I love you. But she is going to talk about how to naturally go into labor, hopefully in any minute.
Oh my gosh, yes. And this whole call, I've just been like pacing the road. Like, I'm just like, I'm getting this out. And I've had everyone on edge. And so, yeah, I am entering 42 weeks with my second. And so, yeah, you guys are so sweet. I know I'm working it. I'm trying all the things. So yeah, you guys have heard a lot about Clary Sage and how we want to avoid it, you know, until we like need to get the baby out. And so that's kind of been my jam these days. And so the other day I did a bath with Clary Sage. But I want to say something that's different. So with my first, I went to 42 weeks, and he, yeah, I mean, he was just cooking in there forever. And so, and I was not into oils. Like, I mean, you know, I had the off-brand oils diffused, just did that. Didn't know anything about it. But my midwife actually had me apply Clary Sage and castor oil to these acupressure points. So if you look at like your ankle bone, and for me, it's like 4 fingers width above the ankle bone. That's where your acupressure point is, and you just want to squeeze it really hard. And my chiropractor just reminded me of that. But so yeah, that's what we did to induce labor, and I literally went into labor that night. So that was like my first like holy cow, oils work moments. And also something really neat. So then whenever my boy was probably 3 or 4 months old, that's whenever I got connected with Bethany, really started diving into oils, which was such a blessing postpartum, as you guys are probably hearing about. So, but my friend, she had a baby a few months ago. I gave her a roller blend, like Up Valor for confidence. But then I felt the call to give her a little sample of the Clary Sage and castor oil. And I said, hey, just in case you need to like progress labor. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this to induce it. Hey, bud, sorry, he's loud. But if you need to get things moving quicker, that would be a great reason to apply it as well. But I said, hey, just in case you need to get things moving. So she was like a week or 2 late as well. She applied it to where I told her, went into labor that night. So I'm like, okay, not just me. And I've had several friends tell me as well the same thing. So cool. So yeah, I did it a few nights ago, and baby's on its own timing, but I didn't do castor oil. So I'm wondering if that would have been, so, you know, I'm doing that tonight whenever I get home. But yeah, so that, yeah, it's awesome. And you definitely are going to want to have Clary Sage around when you need to get the baby out, because I might just be like dumping it all over me literally when I get home. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, thanks guys.
Amazing. Oh, Paige, thank you so much. And we're just cheering for you. It was so funny because when I was planning this class, I'm like, okay, thinking of like who's in the team, who does oils, who's had a labor story or whatever. And I'm like, well, Paige definitely won't be available. In my mind, I'm like, she definitely will not be available because she's obviously having the baby. And then today when I saw your comment, I'm like, Paige, are you available tonight? Because I knew you would have something great to share. So, oh man, this has been so fun. So, okay. A few things as we wrap up here. If you are already a member of Young Living, then what you're going to want to do is just add whatever products, like make a little list, like map out how much longer you have in your pregnancy or whatever, and make a list of things to order every month and do it through the program called Essential Rewards. It's soon, the wording is changing to like subscribe and save or something, but Essential Rewards is what you're going to want to order it through, so you get points back. And what I suggest doing is cash in all your points at the end for the Clariderm, for some big item that you're like, I definitely want this. So save up all your points to the end and then cash it in. If you're not yet in Young Living, then what you're going to want to get is the premium starter kit. That is basically the start line, like how everybody starts with Young Living. I would say like 98% of people. And it comes with frankincense, peppermint, lavender, lemon, dyes, like literally 12 oils that you're going to want to have. Peace and calming, valor, stress away. Like I'm talking, this is the package. So immediately after this call or after you watch this video, go to the person that invited you and say, send me your referral link. Send me your referral number, and have them enroll or go enroll with their referral number. You'll be in our group. You'll get access to all of like the information. We have a Facebook group and it's called OQ. And when you go in there, there's a units tab, and you're going to want to click units and then click pregnancy. And there will be a lot of information. Where do I buy the Gentle Babies book? Where do I get all these recipes that Abby and Alyssa were posting about? All of that's in that unit. And then you can reference it. You can share it with people as things come up. So that is how you will get started. In my opinion of how you should get started is this premium starter kit, 12 oils, a beautiful diffuser, 24% off for life. And then you can add on to the order as you need. Just you'll walk that journey with the person who invited you. So we're right about at an hour. Thank you so much for joining in. Next week is the other end of female reproductive system. We're talking about oils for menopause. My mom is leading that, and she's going to nail it. So if you have anyone in your life who you suspect is going through menopause, it's really awkward to promote a menopause class, because you don't want to be like, you look like you're having a hot flash. You look like your hormones are crazy. No, but really, I know people who could use this information. So I'm just going to say, hey, if you want to hop on, here's the info. So we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Thanks for joining. Y'all have a great night. Bye.